Hi, I'm the Iowa Prairie Girl. Tonight I'm in the woods. I'm coming to you from the White Wildlife Area just north of Rock Falls, Iowa in Saragota County, and we're going to take a look at white snakeroot. Kind of hard to say, all these different whites. Snakeroot is a woodland plant. It likes to grow in the shade. You'll find it along the edge of the woods or along the edge of the trail. It's kind of easy to overlook if it's growing all by itself, but if it's growing in a colony, which it can do, it just fills the woods with some beautiful snowy white flowers. It's a terrific plant to have around in the fall because it provides nectar and pollen to those insects that are either migrating through or getting ready for the winter. It also has a very scary poisonous past that we'll take a look at, and I'll let you know that it's very toxic, and we'll talk about that as well. So stick around as we take a closer look at white snakeroot. Quite sure why it's called snakeroot. There is the erroneous belief that the Native Americans used it for snake bites. There's also the thought that it has very shallow spreading roots, and so it might look like snakes. I like the thought that it is often found along the edge of the woods or the edge of the trail, and so that might be a place where you might discover a snake, and so that's why I like to call it snakeroot. That's one of my thoughts. And then the other one is that it's poisonous like a snake. Snakeroot is very, very poisonous. The whole plant is poisonous. It's even poisonous after a frost. Even after it's been a hard frost, it still could be poisonous. And so a lot of people know this plant because it caused milk sickness. So milk sickness was back in the 1800s or even before that. The cattle would get into snakeroot and they would eat it, and it would cause the cattle to have what they call tremors, and it could kill the cattle. But worse than that was that it would also get into the cattle's milk, and so people would die from milk sickness. The milk that they were drinking would make them so ill that it could be fatal. It caused tremors and nausea, and then to the point of death. And so this plant here has a very scary past. Currently, though, we've known not to keep snakeroot around where there's cattle, and of course we have different processes for our milk now, or pasteurization and those types of things. So it's not as scary, but it's got a very scary past. Thousands of people died from cattle eating this plant. I guess before we move on, I'd like to mention too that the poison that's found in this plant is called trematol. And that's the name of the plant. And then also that this plant, it has an odor to it. They say that the flowers are fragrant. I wouldn't give them to anybody saying that they're fragrant. But it also has, the stem is sticky, but it also has, the leaves the whole plant kind of has a turpentine smell to it. So that's trematol. That's the poison that you would find in this plant, white snakeroot. This plant has beautiful little button-like disc flowers. So the flowers bloom on the top of the plant. So you can see the plants get to be about 2 to 5 feet tall. They're pretty erect and straight up until they get to the top, and then they branch off into the flower heads. And you can see that the flowers stem off from the leaf axils, or from where the leaves come off the stem. And you have a flat cluster of flowers, usually between 2 to 3 inches long, and then in that you have 10 to 30 different little floret flowers. And those florets have 5 different parts, and they don't have any ray petals. They're just the little disc flowers, and then they have 2 long styles that come out, that protrude out from each one of those little flowers. So these beautiful white button little flowers. Now each of these flowers then, as they mature, will develop a seed, and have a little fluffy tail to them, and they're white and they'll blow off in the wind. And that's how the flower is spread, either by the seed being spread by the wind, or by the rhizomes or the shallow roots that the plants have. They'll spread that way as well. Many people will comment that the flowers of the white snakeroot remind them of, or are very similar to that of boneset. And they are the same similar disc flowers. Although the plant is very easy to distinguish between boneset. Two ways: different leaves, and then also different location. The white snakeroot will grow in the shade and in the woods, whereas boneset prefers more of a sunny prairie and almost maybe kind of a wet prairie. Taking a look at the leaf, you can see that the leaf is kind of heart-shaped. All of them have a very long stem, about a 1/2 inch to 2 inch long stem. Tapers at the top to a very pointy tip, and then it has very toothed margins. What's the word I'm looking for? Coarse. Very coarse toothed margins. And of course, like most plants, the leaves at the base of the plant are larger, and as they come up towards the top of the plant, they get narrower and actually maybe a little more lancet shaping. So like I said, white snakeroot can colonize. As you can see behind me, it is kind of spread all over the whole woods. It goes up and down the trail here. All along the trail is just covered with white snakeroot. It is a wonderful plant to have around. Like I said, it's great for pollinators. I'm interested in probably trying to get some of it to grow around my place as well, just because it's a great flower to have around in late summer. It does bloom for about 2 months after it starts to bloom, and it starts to bloom in July and in through October or up until frost. It is deer resistant as well. Deer are a little smarter than cattle. They don't like to eat it. It does have a real bitter taste, and of course it's also toxic, like I said. And so if you do have cattle or any kind of livestock, you want to make sure you don't have white snakeroot around your cattle. Alright, so I'm the Iowa Prairie Girl. At the White Wildlife Area here in Rock Falls, Iowa, Sarasota County, looking at white snakeroot. I hope you enjoyed my video. I hope that you get out and see something wonderful. And please subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thanks for watching.